In this current climate, day and time, information needs to be given clearly. In this case, Clear Vision with 2020 is a podcast for the people, by the people, that does exactly that. Your host keeps an open eye and mind when dealing with any issue at hand. We empower our audience with knowledge. You matter. And here, I use my voice to support and represent the people. The people are the human family who loves truth. Logical thinking and conversation skills are required for communication. News, culture, music, and entertainment with a clear look from a different perspective. Clear Vision with 2020.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Agent 2020, and you are tuned in to Clear Vision Commentary. Now, this is something that I just came up with. You know, I have my hip hop commentary show, which I speak on hip hop issues and issues of life that concern hip hop. And now I have Clear Vision Commentary. And this is for my Clear Vision Media page on YouTube specifically. So, welcome to Clear Vision Commentary. Now, this is another open conversation. We're going to be talking about a few things. I'm going to be jumping around here and there a little bit. So feel free to comment in the comment section what you think. Share your opinion. Share your thought process. Everything that goes on with it. Now, the first thing I want to discuss in this case is the insurrection and how this insurrection has been used by Donald Trump to, let me say, cement his place in the primary for 2024. Now, I just got done watching commentary on CNN, and Trump's former lawyer said, well, since he hasn't been charged with any insurrection, he shouldn't be barred from the ballot in any of the states that he's been barred from. 14th Amendment clearly states that anyone who takes part in insurrection pretty much should not be allowed to do anything or have any type of office in the government. Okay. If that's the case, Trump shouldn't be allowed to have anything to do with any government position, including being a president. The reason why I say that is because when he got on that stage, January 6th, everybody knows when he got on that stage and said everything he said, the main words that he said were, I'm going to be there with you. I'm going down to the Capitol with you. And I will be there, and we're going to stop the steal. Everybody that left that rally went straight to the Capitol, gathered outside the Capitol, wanted to go in the Capitol, and attack the lawmakers. They had a hangman's gallows outside. They were armed with weapons, guns, bear spray, pepper spray. The guns range from AR-15s to handguns, 9mm, 45s. Everybody out there in some way, shape, or form was ready to go into the Capitol and hurt the lawmakers that they thought stole Donald Trump's election. So now, the new poll came out, and 47% said the people were violent and peaceful. 18% said they were violent. They were peaceful. 18% said they were violent. 37% said they were peaceful. So you see, 2 years after this happened, because we just started 2024. Okay. So January 2021, January 2022, January 2023. The 6th of this month will be 3 years since the insurrection happened, since Congress was destroyed, since they pissed in the hallways, excuse my language, urinated in the hallways. They tore up different parts of the Capitol, as well as broke windows, damaged doors. They did an immense amount of property damage. One Capitol police officer was killed pretty much on the scene, had to be taken away, and died at the hospital. A few more were injured. On top of the fact that one of their people got shot trying to go into a part of the Capitol by a Capitol police officer. And I don't take death lightly at all, period. Okay. But sometimes when you do certain things, you should expect certain consequences. So since she wanted to be a part of that group of people, and that was the only person in the Capitol who decided to pull their weapon and shoot when they had every right to, since the Capitol was under insurrection, pretty much. They were trying to occupy the Capitol. They occupied the Capitol by illegal means. He had every right to shoot. So when she climbed through that window and he shot her, she was a casualty. You know, they talk about casualties of war. You know, they were considering themselves at war because Donald Trump's so-called election got stolen. His so-called victory got stolen. So now they're saying we have every right to go in here and hold these people responsible. Where's Mike Pence? Hang Mike Pence. Hang Nancy Pelosi. They got all of this stuff. All of this stuff is documented. Donald Trump had the nerve to say that they're being held like political prisoners. He wouldn't know what a political prisoner was if it dropped right in his face. He's never pardoned any political prisoner that he knows of. But he pardoned a couple of rappers. Kodak Black got pardoned by Donald Trump. Explain that to me. The same people who follow Donald Trump don't even like people like Kodak Black. They consider black people to be uneducated. They consider black people to be, let me think of the term, non-human, pretty much. We focus on materialism, being popular. We like sports, we like entertainment. We don't like to work. We're lazy. We're dependent on the government system, so on and so forth. Every stereotype you can imagine that has been said about black people has been said by Trump supporters. Okay. They can lie about it if they want to, but we know better. Okay. We know better. The Trump supporters are, you might as well consider them the class of society that never wanted to see anyone other than white have any kind of success in the United States. These are the same people who were marching in Charlottesville talking about Jews will not replace us. Now we're talking about anti-Semitism on college campuses and they're blaming students for supporting Palestinians and saying that Jewish people were wishing death upon Jewish people. They were how did they say it on the news today? Um, they were chanting death to the Jews on college campuses. Everything that I seen on college campuses, all of the students were protesting for a free Palestine. Palestine's been under occupation for 76 years now that we're in 2024. They're still under occupation, getting bombarded by bombs in Israel, foot patrols, settlers, Jewish settlers, killing Palestinian people, killing civilians, and they have the nerve to say that since Palestinians might say death to Jews, quote unquote, that they're anti Semitic. But what about the Jews talking about death to the Arabs? What about the Jewish government officials saying that, as far as they're concerned, they're trying to ethnically cleanse the whole area because they don't want Arabs there anymore because Israel belongs to them? And they say that according to scripture. We know that the majority of the people over there now, their ancestors came over there in 1948. Because if they left Palestine anytime before or after the time of Jesus, what did they leave for? Why did they go to Europe? Who was running them out? Because if you think about it, Palestine was under Roman authority before the time of Jesus, because Rome was the seat of government on that side of the country, on that side of the planet. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Rome was the seat of government for a lot of different countries. Rome conquered a lot of different countries, just like Germany, just like we're going to say Europe as a whole, and the different countries that conquered different parts of the planet. South America, Cuba, South America. We ain't going to say Cuba. South America, Central America. Okay. Everywhere you go where they speak Spanish, Spain. Everywhere you go where they speak French, France. Great Britain, English. So these were the main three countries. These were the main three countries that occupied, colonized, and conquered other countries on the planet. So, some Palestinian people, which are Arab people, let's get that all the way right. They're Arab people. Palestinian people who say death to Jews, according to the world, they're anti Semitic. They're dangerous. They're this, they're that. But why are they saying that? Has anybody ever asked that question? Why are they saying that? What was the state of Palestine before 1948? We can go back, let's say before the 1920s. How did Arab people and Jewish people get along? These are some of the things that the human family as a whole, but Black people specifically, need to look up and get some type of education on. What was the state of Palestine before the 1920s? These are questions that need to be asked, because all of the stuff that they're claiming, they're just saying it. And since they say it, they expect us to believe it with no type of proof at all whatsoever. So they find, before I go there, What's the term? What is the meaning of the term Semitic? We're going to look up the term Semitic in the dictionary. What does Semitic mean? Now, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do what is the definition of Semitic? Semitic, adjective, referring to or denoting a family of languages, including Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic. Certain ancient languages, such as Phoenician, Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro Asiatic family. I'm going to repeat that one more time. I know it's kind of blurry because I got my blur on. Just to make sure y'all know I ain't lying. Just to make sure y'all know I ain't lying. You can't really see it because it's blurry. You know, I got to get out of my. But I'm going to read it again. Relating to or denoting a family of languages. A family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family. The second definition, relating to the peoples who speak Semitic languages, including Hebrew and Arabic. Now that we know that, European Jews spoke Yiddish. Yiddish is a German language, not a Semitic language. Okay. Most of the Jewish people who occupy Palestine right now are European Jews. The people that were there were probably original Jews that have been there since the beginning of time. Never left. Most people don't never leave the state that they were born in. Most people never leave the country that they were born in. Most people stay in their country, stay in their state, hell, even live in the city that they live in until they die. My grandmother, perfect example, Pine Level, Alabama. My grandmother was born in Pine Level, Alabama. She died, she passed in Pine Level, Alabama. My grandfather was born in Alabama, might have been Pine Level if I ain't mistaken, or another county, but he came back to Indiana with us because my grandmother had passed and he wasn't going to stay there by himself. We didn't want him staying there by himself. So he came to Anderson and he passed right here in Anderson. My mother was born in Alabama, Pine Level, Alabama, came to Indiana, went from New York to Indiana. She passed in Indiana, never left the state of Indiana once she got here unless she was going to visit family. Most of us live in the city for all of our lives and we pass in the city. Okay. So if the Jewish people migrated out of Palestine on their own and went to another country, they should still be speaking Hebrew. They should still be speaking their native language, just like everybody else around the world. People come over here from Spain, they still speak Spanish. Our Mexican, Central American, and South American brothers and sisters, when they come up here to the United States, they speak their native language. When Chinese people come over here, they speak their native language. When Italian people came over here, they spoke their native language. English was the second language. If Jewish people spoke Hebrew, they came over here, they spoke Hebrew. English was the second language. Japanese, Filipino, Indian, African. We ain't gonna say African, Africa as a continent. That's one thing. We'll just say different countries in Africa, whatever language they spoke, they brought their language over here. English was the second language. A brother of mine is married to a woman from West Africa. Her family still speaks their native language. We just went down there a couple of months ago. May Allah God bless the dead. His son passed away. We got to meet his family. His family was still speaking their native language right there in front of us. They knew English, second language. So, you tell me, if being Semitic denotes a family of languages, then who are the people that spoke these languages? If you're a convert to Judaism as a religion, or if you're a Jewish convert, then you learned Hebrew. Most Jews over here in this country speak Yiddish. They know Hebrew, but they don't speak Hebrew. Now, I was watching another video by a guy on YouTube who was talking about the origins of anti-Semitism. And he spoke on Thomas Sowell. And Thomas Sowell is a sociologist who speaks on Black people, but don't speak to Black people. Writes books about Black people, but don't speak to Black people. And if he does, I've never seen him do it. I'm 50 years old. I've never seen him do it. I was born in 1973. Never heard of Thomas Sowell until probably about 5-6 years ago. But this man is being used, as usual, as a tool and a slave by the white supremacy system to continue to, let me say, give credence to, or he's being used to cement their ideals about why things go on. See, as a people, we've been talking about economic disparities. As a people, we've been talking about social disparities. Disparities come with systems. So when you put a system in place and you put people under a system, they have to adhere to that system in order to be able to move up the ladder. If they don't, then they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay where they're at. He wrote a book called Black Rednecks and White Liberals. He considered the Black Southerner as someone who took after the white Southern redneck. So why were Black people taking after white Southern rednecks? Maybe because when European people came over here, they started in the north, migrated down to the south. You know, you had the 13 colonies. Then as everything started expanding, as Black people, Native Americans were already all over the continent at this time, but they were being killed off. by what they considered the enemy. The white man was considered the enemy of the red man. The red man was considered the enemy of the white man. So they came over here and started killing the Native Americans who had been here about 16,000 years plus already, minding their own business, had their own customs. It was 500 nations. It was maybe more than 500 nations at one point. Then after a while, you get down to 5 civilized tribes. So they were able to exterminate over 400 nations of people within the first 150, maybe close to 200 years they were here. Then bring us, some of us, over here on ships, make us work for them for free, being slaves. We're living around these people on a regular basis. We can't read or write, so everything that we learn, we pick up from them. So if they weren't educated and they had broken English, guess what we had? Broken English. If they didn't know how to count or do things properly, guess what we had to do? We didn't know how to count because, see, they wouldn't let us speak our own language. They killed that the first 64 years we were here. The first 64 years that they brought quote unquote slaves over here, whether they came from the West Indies, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, whether they came from Africa specifically, stopped in at the West Indies, slave makers broke them, turned them into slaves if they could. If they couldn't break them, they put them on the ships and brought them over here. Willie Lynch, with his slave making techniques over here, started breaking slaves. 64 years later, they had a generation of people who didn't speak their native language, considered them Negroes, because the term Negro means dead from the neck up. If you take the G and interchange the G with the C, you got necro. Necro is another word for death. Necrophiliacs are people who are obsessed with dead bodies, have sex with dead bodies. So you took the C and interchanged the C with the G, which you can't do in English. You got a Negro. A Negro is someone who's dead from the neck up. A Negro has no knowledge of himself or where he came from. And if he do got a little bit of knowledge, he only has a little bit of knowledge of that. So you have these Negroes running around now, around these white Southern rednecks, adapting white Southern redneck culture, pretty much. Speaking the way they do things. I mean, all the whole system that they set up, they taught us. So in this book, according to Thomas Sowell, the reason why Black people have the culture that they have mainly is because of white Southern rednecks. Now, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has been teaching us that we have been other than ourselves. Master Fard Muhammad, God in person, was telling us that we were acting other than ourselves. Now we know why. Thomas Sowell, in his book, Black Rednecks and White Liberals, said the same thing. These Caucasian people on the planet right now are using our Black intellectuals to further their ideals. They'll use a Black man and the knowledge that he has of Black people to prove their point, as they would say. All white people aren't like that. The ones who are, they know who I'm talking to. The ones who like to use our intellectuals for their purposes, they know who I'm talking to. So, see, they use us as a tool and as a slave, pretty much, and they keep us illiterate for their purposes. So, since they're using him like this, they're gaining all of a sudden. Thomas Sowell is gaining all of these fans now, and they mainly white people. A few black people might read his books, and from a from a social standpoint, since he is a sociologist, he speaks on social systems, social issues, but he only speaks on us in the social structure and why we haven't been able to succeed or advance in the social structure. But he never talks about the social structure itself, where it came from, how it got put into place, all of that stuff. He doesn't talk about that. The welfare state started in the mid to late 60s, early 70s. AFDC was not created for black people. It was created after World War I or World War II, whichever one it was, for the sole purpose of when white soldiers got killed over in war, or they went over there and fought and didn't come back to the States, stayed over there, found a woman in another country, stayed over there, married her, left their other wives here, never came back over here. They had aid for dependent children. That's how it started. ADC, aid for dependent children. Then it changed to aid for needy and dependent children. That was made specifically for the white woman. And we're just going to be honest about it, because during those times, before the civil rights movement, we didn't have any access to any government systems. We didn't have any access to any government programs at all, period. Wanted us to fight the wars, but then want us to, we couldn't participate in those programs. So now that Thomas Sowell's writings have become so popular and everything with white conservatives, we're going to make it absolutely plain. White conservative people are the ones who read these books. It was a dude that left a comment on one of these videos that said, "I used to be a liberal, now I'm a conservative. Thomas Sowell is my savior." This is how they talk about him. This is exactly how they talk about him. This is exactly what they do with his literature. They take his literature, they say, "Oh, well, have you heard of Thomas Sowell? He said the reason why you guys is like this is because it's like this." So they try to use his knowledge and try to intellectualize the reason why black people are like they are. Bottom line is, we've been in the United States for over 470 years among white people, period. That's the reason why we're like we are today. And we adapted a lot of their attitude. We adapted a lot of their ways of living, on top of the fact that we've been angry ourselves about how we've been kept in this state, how we've been kept down by their system. So now they want to clean it up now. They want to try and sanitize it and make it seem like we didn't do that to y'all. I mean, y'all just took after us and started acting like us, and that was it. They don't talk about things like the union, AIO, the actual union that was created by a racist whose mantra was never let a N-word pick up a tool. I'm just saying it. You know what I'm talking about. All the way up until the 1940s, you rarely saw a white man doing any type of physical labor. If you seen a white man doing labor, everybody would stop and be like, wow, he's working like that? Because we were the ones that were doing all of that. We were the bricklayers, we were the masons, we were the steamboat operators, we were all of that. We were also the porters, the janitors, the cleaners. On top of that, we had our own cities, we had our own businesses that catered to our own people. So stop using our black intellectuals to further your ideals. We're going to talk some more about this too. I'm going to make another video about it. It's going to Black Intellectuals Part 2. And I'm going to dig deeper into it, and I'm going to use some of the material that I've been able to actually watch, and we're going to start breaking that down. Now, the other part, getting back to the war that's been going on over in the Middle East. Anyone who says that Palestinian people don't have a right to feel how they feel about their occupation, they're some cowards. Anyone who says that if a Palestinian person says death to the Jews, I don't think they're talking about death to Jewish people. And if they are, it's because some Jewish people probably took the lives of somebody in their family, probably took the lives of their people at the same time. Let's not forget, during the Nakba, 750,000 Palestinians were displaced out of the country to start the state of Israel. Let's not forget that. Where did those 750,000 people go? How many of them got killed? How many of them got their land took from them and probably got killed on the land that they got took from them? How many of them got locked in prisons? Okay. Sometimes the white man will give you the option to get on a train or a boat or in a car and leave before we kill you. That's what they did with us in some cases. In a lot of cases, they ran us out, shooting at us, ready to kill us. Let's not forget Tulsa, Oklahoma. Hey, they dropped the bomb on Tulsa from airplanes. We were fighting back. Some of them got killed too. Some of them got killed by the brothers who came back from the war. I don't know if they still alive right now. Some of them might still be alive. But we were defending ourselves. But for the most part, they came in and pretty much tore the whole city down, burned the whole side of Tulsa down. Why do you try to forget about that? I forgot what the city was in South Carolina. The same thing happened there. The same thing happened in Rosewood. The same thing happened in a lot of black towns that we were building after emancipation. Especially in the 1920s and the 30s. That was called the Red Summer. It was nothing but race riots. During the whole first 5-6 years, they was having red summers all the time, all these race riots, all these race wars going on. Wasn't started by us. We wasn't going into white cities talking about we trying to take over. We wasn't doing that. So if the Palestinian people feel like Arabs need to be held responsible, if the Palestinian people feel like Jewish people, the ones in power, I'm not just talking about any Jews. Now some of the civilians, they take up the thinking of the government. I've seen videos where some of these Jewish children were talking about death to the Arabs. I've seen videos where, they're throwing trash out of their settlements, out of their settlement buildings that's built pretty much on top of these Palestinian cities and just throwing trash all out their windows and stuff, to the point where a family had to make a metal grate to put over the alley where they walk in and out of when they need to go to the store, go to the shop, or wherever they need to do to keep them from getting hit by trash. These children can't even go out to play because they throw their trash out. I'm gonna start sharing these videos. I'm gonna start clipping these videos up and showing them to y'all, because I can see a lot of people, you know, they don't know this stuff. And the reason why they don't know this stuff is because they don't do any research. Because most people don't like history, because they don't like to be reminded of the things that happened. But they'll be quick to take your history and throw it in your face, especially if you commit a crime. Oh, you're a felon? Well, oh yeah, you did such and such. No, we can't hire you. Even though you did it 15 years ago, they still won't hire you. They don't mind using that history. Don't mind using that history at all. But then to tell you that you shouldn't go back and study history, that's in the past. Why are you worrying about the past? Why are you worrying about the past? If I had to do something to take care of my family and I didn't hurt nobody in the process, I did my time for it. Why are you bringing it up? Why I got to check the box on the application that says, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Why is that even on the application if you don't care about the past? You don't even have to put that on the application. You could just look up somebody's, you could just look up somebody's criminal history. You don't even have to put that on there. Let them fill out the application. Make that a part of your process. No, but you got to put the question on there and let them answer it. So what, for discrimination purposes? Well, we don't want him to say that we didn't ask him if he's ever been convicted of a felony. If we don't hire him, then, we're going to say that. Half the time, you don't even do the research. Once they check yes and give the example or the explanation, they out of there. Once they check the box and say what it was, they out of there. We ain't hiring them. I had a woman tell me pretty much to my face, well, since you quote unquote got convicted of dealing, I don't know if you're going to deal out the window of my drive-through. Insinuating that I might go out, get some drugs, have them on me, come to my job and sell them out the window. That's been done. That's been done before. That's been done by white people. That's been done by black people. That's been done by Mexican. It's been done. I'm not saying it ain't been done. But that was the first assumption. So I'm just protecting my business. Okay, that's cool. I understand. Palestinian people been under occupation for 76 years. Checkpoints, their bags, their suitcases, those things get checked when they come into the checkpoint. Some of these checkpoints are in front of people's houses. They can't even go into their house without getting permission from the Israeli government. Can't go from one side of the city to the other side without being harassed by the Israeli police. It was a woman that worked for Al Jazeera Plus who had never been to her hometown in Israel, went back to her hometown for the first time because her father decided he wasn't going to go back. He said it hurt him too much. So she went to visit. They weren't even there for 5 minutes. And the police was already on them. Let me see your paper. Can I see your ID? Can I see this? Can I see that? Now, the same thing that Hitler was doing to them over in Germany, over in Austria, over in Poland, they're doing to the Palestinians right there in Israel. We got to have some ID. We got to know who you are. This is where you can go. This is where you can't go. This is where you can stand. This is where you can't stand. So you tell me, if some Palestinian people who feel like they don't want to forgive the Jewish government for what they're doing, and those Palestinian people become quote unquote members of Hamas or whatever, and they feel like, since we can't get any justice the right way, we'll just put together a force that is going to attack them one day. And we're just going to attack. Not going to have no remorse for it at all. You know why they kill so many civilians? Because the Palestinian people don't have an army. They don't have a police force. They don't have anybody that helps protect them. Hell, they don't even have a sanitation department. If you look on the streets, you see trash and stuff all over the streets. You go to Israel, you go to the Jewish side of any of the same cities, and they clean. It's been plenty of people that done said that. Ta-Nehisi Coates just did an interview with Democracy Now! September of 2023, said the same thing. Talib Kweli been over there, said the same thing. One side is clean, the other side is dirty. One side is cool, the other side is ghetto. And these children are saying we live in a prison. Occupation is like living in a prison. The closest that we've came to occupation is being told where we can't go, being given places, being redlined into certain neighborhoods, being redlined into certain parts of the city. And if we pass a certain mark, the police right on you just like that. What you doing over here? Why you over here? Who you know over here? You need to hurry up and do your business and leave. Same thing they do with sundown towns. What are you doing? What are you doing? If you work, don't let the sun down. Don't let the sun go down while you still here, because we're not going to be responsible for what happened to you. These people might not like you being here after the sun go down. Hell, they might kill you. You might come up missing. I got a book called Sundown Towns by James Lowen. Audiobook, 22 plus hours. So imagine how much information he put in that book about sundown towns. Black people didn't have any sundown towns. We wasn't telling white people you got to get out of our town before the sun go down. But most people will get upset at the fact that a black person will say that they don't want to have anything to do with a white person because we don't trust them. Why don't you trust them? Yeah, I mean, I seen what they did to my grandparents. I seen what they did to my great grandparents. So I'd rather deal with my people and not deal with them. Not everybody's like that, but at the same time, you got white people that feel the same way. I really don't deal with black people like that because my parents never did. I don't, we don't do that type of stuff. So, and I'm bringing this conversation up in all of these different facets to let people know that they can say what they want to, but what you think about somebody and what you've been taught about somebody does matter. From the insurrection in 2021 all the way up until the war that just happened in 2023. Those things happen because the way that people perceive others, and then when they perceive them this way, they treat them that way. That's why it happens. I mean, I'm going to give another example. Cenk Uygur from TYT, I'm sorry, the Young Turks, had the nerve to say they shouldn't say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free anymore. Don't nobody want to hear that. Get that out of here. They shouldn't say that anymore. Why shouldn't they? It stirs up too much trouble. So what? It stirs up too much trouble. So what? These people been occupied. Do you have people that live in occupied Gaza Strip? Do you have people that live in the occupied West Bank? Do you have people that live in Golan Heights that's occupied? I mean, if you got family over there, ask them how they feel. Ask them how they feel about being occupied. You're over here. You're not over there. So how are you going to tell them they don't need to say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? Who told you you could say that? Who told you you could tell them that they shouldn't say that? You probably never lived in the occupied land your damn self, so you wouldn't know. You're going to tell people who've been subject to the worst conditions that you could possibly live in that they shouldn't be mad? You're going to tell them they shouldn't be upset? You're going to tell them they don't have any reason to say that? You got a lot of nerve. You really got a lot of nerve. Just like the woman that sit next to you, I can't remember what her name is. She don't care nothing about the Bible. I don't want you cramming the Bible down my throat. I don't care about how Jesus did this. I don't care about how the prophets did that. If I want to do this, this is what I'm going to do. Well, you live in a Judeo-Christian country. Your parents was probably raised like that. If they wasn't, then okay, that's fine. But you can have your opinion on the Bible. They can have their opinion on how they feel about the Jewish people and how they being occupied. So who are you, Jink, to tell them that they can't say that? They can say that if they want to. They can say that. The reason why Hamas is Hamas right now is because those people who decided to take up arms for the Arab people, whether they wanted them to or not, they would have been considered freedom fighters if they were anywhere else in the world. They don't have anybody to fight for them. They don't have anybody to stand up for them. Well, you know what? I'm going to stand up for my people. And about 300 of us feel that way. So we going to take up the guns. If they come in here, we ain't even going to tell nobody. If they come in here acting up, we going to get them. And they going to think twice about coming in here. We going to fight. And they going to think twice about coming in here. Now, let's go back. Do y'all remember the what was they called? The brothers and sisters. I'm trying to think of what city they were in. Forrest Whitaker played in the movie. And they were protecting the people of the city because did nobody else want to. The police didn't want to. So they took up the guns, they took up the arms, just like the Black Panthers did. Deacons for Defense. Y'all remember that? Yeah. The Deacons for Defense. You gonna keep on treating my people like this? We're gonna defend our people. We're not letting you come in here and hurt nobody else. So you want to tell me that the Palestinian people shouldn't say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Just because you don't like it don't mean a damn thing. So what, you don't like it? And they've been under occupation. So it shouldn't even matter what you got to say anyway. You're not over there. You're not supporting them anyway. Oh, Palestine should be free. Say free Palestine then. Support the Palestinian people that need to be free. You ain't got to support Hamas. Hamas don't give a damn if you support them anyway. Why would they care about you? They don't care if you support them. They don't care if you like them. They don't care nothing about nobody, whether they like them or not. We're going to do the job to protect our people. If they want to keep on, we don't like the way the government is treating our people. So you know what? We're going to go to war with the country. That's what we're going to do. We don't care if you like it. They didn't do no poll to see if anybody in the world was going to like what they were going to do. They didn't do no consensus. They didn't get on YouTube and put no poll together and say, hey, should we attack Israel or should we not? What should we do? They didn't give a damn what y'all thought. They didn't give a damn what nobody in the world thought. The only thing they said was, we're tired. So you know what? We're going to take the war to them. And we don't care what the outcome is going to be. We're ready for it. But the same people that were ready to take the war to them, they told you, we don't like the government. We don't have anything against Jewish people. We don't like the occupation. We don't like being occupied. We don't like being told when we could come in, when we could leave. It's an old lady who has to climb out of her window, climb down the side of the building, go all the way around the building to the alley that is connected to, then take the alley all the way to the street. That's an hour. 1 hour of just, it takes her 1 hour to leave her house just to get to the street in the West Bank or in the Gaza Strip, one of them. It takes her 1 hour to do that. When the front door to her house is right down the street from the checkpoint, it could take her 2 minutes to get to the street. But they don't let her do that. She can't do that. So you don't understand why these people feel the way they do? You have no idea why the Palestinian people feel the way they do. It's a man who has a checkpoint right in front of his house, man, right in front of his front door. They built the checkpoint station right in front of his front door. And they don't got no reason to be mad or upset at all. Not no reason at all. On top of that, I'm gonna go back to this Trump thing real quick. I'm gonna go back to this why he's been banned in these states. The reason why he's been banned in these states is because they see what type of person he is. They see he's not going to be any good for the country. I mean, he's going to give, the he's going to get a conservative, ultra right, redneck. I ain't going to even say redneck. He's going to give the conservative, ultra right, undercover rednecks, undercover racists, undercover haters a pass. He's going to give them what they want to have. He's going to give them their guns so they can say Trump for president and wear the hats and have the flags flying from their trucks and their cars and have the license plates on the front of their cars and all of this stuff. Because, see, he speaks their language. He speaks their language. He talks to them like they want to be talked to. I'm going to build a wall. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to repeal this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to make the country great again. I'm going to give you, white people, your country back. All you got to do is elect me. That's all you got to do. You don't got to do nothing else. Just elect me. I give you back everything you want. I might throw them a few crumbs. Don't worry about that. That's not going to affect you. Not going to affect you at all. But I'm going to give you your country back. Because, see, he feels the same way. He gives them a pass and a reason for them to feel and act the way they act. He emboldens them to do what they like to do. He emboldens them to be how they want to be, say what they want to say. So you wonder why all the stuff that's been happening all of these years has been happening. You know how he came in, right? You see how he came into the mix. You see how he came into the fold. Where's his birth certificate? How come Obama won't show his birth certificate? He went on every single television platform talking about Obama and his birth certificate. He had an absolute problem with the black man being in the White House, just like half the country did. Obama's a terrorist. He's going to kill us. Town hall meetings all over the place. Town hall meetings all over the place. Before the 2008, during the 2007 election cycle, and throughout the 2011 election cycle before the 2012 re-election, right before the first election, they were saying all of that stuff. They thought the man was going to usher in the apocalypse. And while they were at it, they were putting posters together with him having bones in his nose, calling him a shaman, making him putting a little mustache under his nose, making him look like Hitler. Trump seen all that and was like, yeah, those are the people that I'm going to talk to right there. Let me start talking about this birth certificate. Let me get on that. Let me start asking these questions. Let me talk like this. He did that for a whole 2 years. Obama's last year was in 2016. Starting in 2015, he was talking about that. He was talking about that probably starting in late 2014. All through 2015, he was talking about that. And while he was doing that, it was drumming up support all over the country. Everybody was like, yeah, Trump. Yeah, Trump need to be president. You know, he ran a business. You know, America is a business anyway. Yeah, y'all turned it into a business. Who were the middlemen? Who were the middlemen and who were the workers? Poor black, poor white, poor Latino people were the workers. Most of you so-called entrepreneurs, 100,000aires and millionaires were the middlemen. And then you got these people right up at the top. That's already got their money and already got their standing, funding everything, watching everything, not saying nothing. We just gonna let it happen. We don't care. We don't even care. Rode in on a wave of what they've been wanting to say for so many years, but couldn't say it. Never been a black president before in the history of this country. The first black man that tried to run for president in the country was Jesse Jackson in 1984, and they were wanting to kill Jesse. Ruin Jesse, ruin. Bomb the man's political offices. Chanting that they wanted, chanting death to Jesse. Same people. Some of those people were actually Jewish people. If you want the truth, look it up. Look up Jesse Jackson, presidential campaign, 1984, and watch what you see. You're going to see the minister in there too. Because the Secret Service didn't want to protect him back then. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan commissioned the FOI to protect him until the Secret Service picked it up. Yeah, the FOI is the military arm of the Nation of Islam. Yeah, they're military minded. Don't even get that twisted. They are 100%. So here comes Trump riding this wave in. All through 2015, had every single white Republican, conservative Republican wanting to vote for him. He wasn't even talking politics the first part of 2015 at all whatsoever. Wasn't even talking politics, was just talking about Obama. Once 2016 hit, and that was his last year, then all of a sudden he started wanting to get political. Then he got an advisor, he got a little committee, he got a little team behind him that was giving him political points. Hired a bona fide racist, Steve Bannon. We all know that. See, one thing I've noticed is that a lot of Caucasians try to hide their racism under being intellectuals. Same thing Charles Darwin did when he wrote Natural Selection, Survival of the Fittest. But go look up the entire title to the book. Go look that up. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. Just go look it up and see it for yourself. They try to hide their hatred under being intelligent. intellectuals don't have any problem using our black intellectuals to uh, see. He was making the same point I was making. We're going to use him to solidify what we've been saying the whole time. And most of these black people, most of these black intellectuals, they don't mind, they don't care. They don't care if their material gets used by the white supremacy power structure to further their ideals. They don't care. They'll let it happen. Oh, well, so what? I'm just a sociologist. I was just giving the facts. I was just telling people what I knew, what I learned. Knowing that it's other sides to the same thing, knowing that it's other perspectives. So when you're a sociologist, as a social, as a person who has a social obligation to explain these systems, you only explain part of it. You only talk about what you want to talk about. You don't talk about the whole thing. See, that's one of the reasons why I love Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Because when he writes his books, he gives you a perspective all the way across the board. He gives you all the information that you need, explains the information to you, and then sums it up for you. Most of our black intellectuals, they don't do that. They don't do that at all. They capitulate. They get in where they fit in. They go along to get along. That's mainly what they do. Most white people don't have no problem with that at all whatsoever. Some of them do. The ones who do and they speak up, they try to silence them. Ah, you're just a liberal. Don't nobody care about that. That's liberal thinking. That's what they say. Let's look up the term liberal. We're going to look up that term too. Let's see what a liberal is. See the definition. Liberal definition: willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. Number two, adjective. Number one, adjective, like I said, willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. Number two, relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Now let's look at the noun. Noun, number one, a supporter of policies that are socially progressive and promote social welfare. Two, a supporter of political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Let's look up liberties. Liberty: the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, and political views. So, shouldn't the Palestinians have liberty? How come? How come America and the rest of the world fought Hitler after when he took over Europe for the liberty of the people of Europe? Liberty, the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. Wasn't that what Hitler was doing with the Nazi Party? After the Nazi Party, after all of that stuff happened, what did Simon Wiesenthal do? Simon Wiesenthal was a Nazi hunter. He hunted for Nazis, found them, killed them. Did nobody have any problem with a Jewish person whose whole family died in the concentration camp, got put in gas chambers? Anne Frank was one of them. Her family was one of them. Didn't have no problem saying death to the Nazis. they need to die. And if they don't need to die, they need to be put in prison for the rest of their life for their atrocities. If somebody came and killed your whole family, what would you want their fate to be? Would you want them to be free? Or would you want them to pay for their crime? Would you want them to walk around out here and be able to live like you live? Or would you want them to pay for their crime? Most people would say, I want them locked up for their life, or I want them to go to the death penalty. I want the death penalty. They killed my son. They killed my daughter. They killed my mother. They killed my whole family. They should be sentenced to death. I mean, that was how the Bible was, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. That was the Old Testament. God never changes. And some of us, some of the societies have taken up that mantra. You want to kill somebody? We're going to send you to life in prison. You want to kill somebody and it's bad enough and the circumstances are extenuating enough, we're going to send you to death. We're going to put you on death row. The state's going to take care of you until they put the needle in your damn arm or until they put you in the electric chair. Hell, they even wanted to bring back the firing squad in Florida. I mean, let's just be honest. Liberty, the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions. So shouldn't the Palestinians have liberty? I think they should. So my personal opinion, Clear Vision commentary. This is the sole opinion of Clear Vision commentary, Clear Vision Media Network. To hell with anybody who feels like the Palestinians shouldn't be free, shouldn't have liberty. If they want to say from the river to the sea, Palestine should be free, so be it. If Hamas want to get together and say, if y'all don't want to give my people any freedom, if y'all don't want to give my people any liberty, we gonna go to war. So be it. No women or children should be killed on purpose, but they're casualties of war. When America bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, everybody that died were casualties of war. Did all of them jump into airplanes and bomb Pearl Harbor? No, they didn't. Just the kamikaze pilots. But you bombed 2 cities with an atomic bomb and killed civilians. They were casualties of war. When you was dropping bombs over in Iraq during the first war and the second one, everybody that died, they were casualties of war. You didn't care if you maimed children. You didn't care if you killed women. You didn't care if you didn't care about none of that. If they in the area when the bomb get dropped, so what? You tried to kill Gaddafi, ended up killing his daughter, so what? I mean, hey, look, this is America. This is their history. This is what they've done. How can they complain about how somebody else decides to try and get their freedom when they did the same thing to other countries? How can you complain about that? How can you complain? I'm just saying. That's why I'm calling this an open conversation. That's exactly why I'm calling it an open conversation. Because we're talking about a few different things. But see, it all culminates back to the same thing. It all culminates back to who told you that they couldn't do what they needed to do to maintain their freedom when you, America, would do the same damn thing. You can't be the pot calling the kettle black all the time. You can't be that. And you've been supporting Israel for how long now? Over 50 years now? Damn near 60, I think, if I ain't mistaken. And you didn't know they were doing that over there to them people? You didn't have no idea they was building walls? You know, if Jesus was born today, he would be born in occupied Bethlehem. Bethlehem has a wall around it. Jerusalem has a wall around it. I mean, think about that. While everybody talking about President Gay from Harvard, she said the right thing. She was like, if a student went up to an actual Jewish student and said, you need to be put to death. If it was a Palestinian person who has people over there in occupied Palestine being treated bad every single day, why would anybody have anything to say about that? That's just how a person feels. And say he wanted to kill him. Sometimes you might have to find a different way to say things. But in this world, and the way that this world is shaped and molded, in the way that this society over here is shaped and molded, they go off emotion, strictly off emotion, to say anything that come to their damn mind. Ask Trump, he do it all the time. He feel a certain way about something, he just gonna say it. He don't care. That's how I feel. What are feelings? Feelings are emotions. Ask all of them people who ran up in the Capitol. They felt like Trump's election was stolen from them, and we're gonna act. We're acting on our emotions. We're acting on how we feel. We're acting on what we feel is right. So we're gonna go up in this Capitol. We're gonna find Nancy Pelosi. We're gonna find Mike Pence. We're gonna do whatever we want to do to them right out here in the public. If they would have got their hands on them, they would have done it. Just like they did the public lynchings back in the early 20th century. They would have done it. Believe me, those people were probably the ancestors of the ones that you probably seen on the damn postcards. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Not one bit. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Same people you see lined up on the bridges when you got a mother and her son hanging from a bridge. Got a man being burnt alive, 16-year-old being burnt alive. They got on hats. They got on fedoras and suits, ties. Bring their children to the lynching. Bring their grandparents. Their grandparents probably urging them to go to the lynching. Watching people swing from trees. Hey, Muncie, Indiana. One of the most famous pictures. 2 black men hanging from the tree. One of them was able to get away. His name was James Cameron. The noose slipped off of his neck, and he was able to slide out of the way while they were doing what they were doing to the 2 that they had. One of them, his name was Thomas Ship. Yeah. Man pointing up at him like, this is what'll happen to you. And when we want to do it, we gonna do it when we want to. That was America. For damn near 200 years, that was America. In parts of this country, it still is America. The facts don't lie. The truth is the truth. Bottom line, period. So excuse me for my passion, I'm just sorry, but I am a firm believer in justice. I believe in justice. Justice is the tool that God is going to use when it's time to judge the world, not just this country, the whole world. So if you was involved in injustice, you better be ready. If you wasn't being just with God's people, you better be ready. If you didn't have any semblance of what justice was and you was acting the way you wanted to act when it came to governing and taking care of God's people, you better be ready. because justice is coming. Justice is coming. It's up to you whether you're going to have to experience it or not. It's up to you. It's solely up to you. So if you like justice, then you shouldn't have no problem when justice is administered to anybody it needs to be administered to. I'm just saying. So we done went on for about an hour, 20 minutes. Comment below. Tell me what you think. Feel free. Express yourself how you need to. Don't be absolutely vulgar if you can help it. But hey, this is my opinion. This is how I feel about it. So, like I said earlier, part of me is going to care about it, but the other part of me is not going to give a damn what you think. It was facts mixed in with my opinion. So go with the facts. My opinion is my opinion. It's not going to change. Don't give a damn what you put in the comments. I'm just saying. So enjoy the video. This is your brother, Agent 2020, Clear Vision Commentary, signing off. Peace.
In this current climate, day and time, information needs to be given clearly. In this case, Clear Vision with 2020 is a podcast for the people, by the people, that does exactly that. Your host keeps an open eye and mind when dealing with any issue at hand. We empower our audience with knowledge. You matter. And here, I use my voice to support and represent the people. The people are the human family who loves truth. Logical thinking and conversation skills are required for communication. News, culture, music, and entertainment with a clear look from a different perspective. Clear Vision.